Essay, The Ritual and the Rot on Blood, Sacrifice, and the Bastard Gods of Lovecraft and the Church. There is a kind of sacrifice that smells of ash and rot. It wears robes and stands behind pulpits and bleeds its victims without raising its voice. It does not call itself evil. It calls itself order. It calls itself tradition. It calls itself God. What Nicholas encounters in this chapter is the living architecture of such a system. A town in which the poor are not simply forgotten, but deliberately offered, turned over, rendered into silence and bone and memory. No one speaks of it plainly, and no one needs to. The terms are clear. The poor exist to be bled. The system survives on their submission. Their death is counted as worship. Their disappearance is called peace. And what is most horrifying is not the act itself, but the ritual justification behind it. This is not unlike Lovecraft's world. In Lovecraft, the true horror is not the monster you see. It is the sanity you lose upon realizing that the monster never needed to hide. The terror lies in the system, the architecture of cosmos in which meaning is absent, in which gods do not love but consume, in which knowledge is a curse, and the only truth is that you were born to be devoured. In this town, we see Lovecraft's metaphysics incarnate. The poor are fed to a nameless god, not because that god needs them, but because the people do. They need a scapegoat. They need a release valve. And perhaps most of all, they need to believe in something big enough to justify the violence their society cannot live without. This is unmistakably a bastardized form of Christianity, a liturgy of blood without resurrection, a theology of the strong, the gospel turned inside out. Where Jesus laid down his life for the world, these worshippers demand the world lay down its life for their God. Where Christ said, "This is my body broken for you," these mockers say, "This is your body broken for God." Their sacraments are upside down. Their Eucharist is exploitation. Their mercy is hierarchy. And if they speak of the cross at all, it is only to ensure that someone else is nailed to it. Here we must pause, not merely in revulsion, but in recognition. Because if we are honest, we know this story. We've seen it before. We've lived it. We've watched the poor be sacrificed in the name of markets, of borders, of security, of God. The myth that some must die so others can live is the oldest heresy. It runs through history like a red thread, and the Church has been both its critic and its champion. There have always been those, like Esau and Gia and Vera and Lucretia and the boy with the limp, who have resisted, who have built their own underground sanctuary of solidarity and protected the cat and the stranger from the violence of the faithful. But there have also been others, men in vestments, men in boardrooms, men with doctrine and index funds, who have baptized the machine in the blood of the least of these. If this sounds like too much, good. It is too much. It is offensive, because it should be. And if we do not name it now, we risk participating in it again. Lovecraft teaches us that horror is not what you run from. It is what you wake up to. And what Nicholas is waking up to is not just the architecture of a cultic city, but the world as it is. The horror is not just in the ritual, it is in the justification. It is in the quiet. It is in the, "this is how it's always been." That is the voice of the God they worship, the God that always demands another. But it must be said, this God is not God. This is not the Father of Jesus Christ. This is not the Creator who called all things good. This is not the Spirit who brooded over the waters. This is the God of empire, the God of mammon, the God of the machine. And yet into this world, Nicholas stumbles with a cat at his side and a wound in his memory and something like conscience waking up in his bones. The resurrection will not come from above, but from below. From the gathering of the expendable, from the friendship of the forgotten, from the refusal to give one more victim to the God who never saves. The real horror is that such a God exists at all, in the minds and structures and traditions of people who think they are doing holy things. The real hope is that a different kind of God already walked among us, broke bread with the forgotten, and was himself devoured, only to rise again, not in vengeance, but in love. Let the people who cannot see the difference keep preaching their upside-down gospels. We have seen the difference, and it is everything.